One deep breath. And a ledge dash on his last stock. He's not scared.
Oh, side B. Nice.
Plup's going to have to do the mango to... he's over.
That's it. That's it. Yep. The upset.
Yo.
Hey guys, Ipengu here. If you're wondering why I'm voicing this Melee video instead of Walt, that would be because I am a card-carrying, shirt-wearing member of the Jmook fan club. Chances are, if you watch Genesis, you are too. Jmook's second place finish came off of one of the greatest Cinderella runs that Melee has ever seen. It's enough to make you scream in the crowd, cry if you're Atrioc or Aiden, or if you're me, spend an entire weekend putting together spreadsheets about Jmook. Which is why we have this video. Much has been made of the fact that Jmook beat a variety of characters on the path to his silver medal, but two wins stand out over all the rest: Plup and iBDW. Jmook might have fallen to Zain in the end, but as Zain said in our winners interview, Jmook might be the best Sheik versus Fox in the world. But what makes him so good at a matchup that most Sheiks dread seeing in their bracket? We did some deep diving, so let's figure out just how Jmook managed to overcome Sheik's nightmare matchup and how he's pushing the Sheik meta to unforeseen heights. Before we get into what sets Jmook apart, some context as to why these two wins in particular are so impressive. On top of Fox being an already tough matchup for Sheik, you'd be hard-pressed to find two Fox players who make the matchup look more infuriating. In the last 5 years, iBDW boasts an almost 80% win rate against top 50 level Sheiks, and he doesn't have a losing record against a single one. That's also considering that 5 years actually spans a pretty long time in iBDW's career, and his real breakout wasn't until 3 years ago. So if we narrow the data down to there, his win rate jumps up past 80%, and all those losses to Swedish Delight disappear. Of course, the one Sheik that can go blow for blow with iBDW is Plup, and when Plup plays against Sheik himself, it looks nigh unwinnable. In the last 5 years, Plup has played 15 sets as Fox against top-level Sheiks, and he's only dropped a single one. Until Jmook, Swedish Delight was the only Sheik in the world who could claim to have beaten Plup's Fox in the last 5 years. And when he won at Mango's birthday bash, Plup only played half of his games as Fox. Plup is as close to perfect as you can get against the character. Or at least he was, until Jmook. Jmook wasn't just going up against Sheik's worst matchup. He was going up against possibly the statistically worst player to see in his entire bracket. Before that Genesis weekend, Plup seemed like a roadblock that no typical Sheik could handle. Jmook, however, is clearly built different. Some degree of that is clear from watching his gameplay. His slick movement and unorthodox combo extensions make Sheik feel like the ninja that she's supposed to be. But to really get at what makes Jmook a different breed, let's dive into the data behind the gameplay, because I have a feeling that there are some numbers in there that are gonna surprise you. Jmook is fast. Everyone knows this. But here's the thing. He's not actually fast in the way you think he is. Here are the inputs per minute recorded from Genesis Top 8. If you're not familiar with these stats, inputs per minute includes all inputs, meaning it includes minute analog adjustments on the sticks or triggers, which explains why HBox is clocking in at over 700 inputs per minute. That's Jigglypuff, Drift, and Tap Jump doing that work. The more reliable stat might be digital inputs per minute. This removes the sticks and triggers, only counting button presses. So let's take a look at this top 8. Amsa, of course, is registering over 150 button presses a minute doing Yoshi things, and Zain, iBDW, and none aren't that far behind. We keep going down the list: HBox, Kazoo, Laud, all the floaties, right? And then in last place, with fewer than 100 button presses a minute, is Jmook. Laud's only set was getting camped by HBox for 30 minutes, and even he's playing at a higher APM than Jmook. I guess pulling those turnips takes a lot of buttons. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's just a Sheik thing, right? Well, let's try comparing Jmook to a Sheik of similar skill level. And to make things really accurate, the Fox they're playing should be a similar level too, right? Playing each other in Sheik versus Fox. Maybe we could use, I don't know, Plup versus iBDW from Riptide? Yeah, that seems about right. Here's Plup's inputs per minute from his 2 Riptide sets against iBDW. And just to make sure things are totally lined up, let's limit Jmook's stats to just his Fox Genesis sets. 2 sets of Sheik versus Fox for each player, and Plup is still registering almost 30% more inputs on average than Jmook. It's not just Sheik. Jmook really just doesn't move his hands that much. And just if you think this is because Plup is abnormally fast, which he is, here are my Sheik's inputs against Fox from when I was inspired to play Pengu after watching Jmook's run. Even my very mediocre secondary is pressing significantly more buttons than Jmook, and while Plup's inputs are definitely good, mine are certainly not great. So does that mean that Jmook's slow? No shot. We happen to also have the inputs from Jmook's hand warmers when players are playing at max speed. Here they are versus iBDW, around 656 inputs per minute, 151 digital. Clearly, the guy is capable of moving his hands fast, and we can see that in his gameplay as well. It's not that he's slow, it's that he's precise. Jmook simply doesn't make extraneous inputs. This doesn't mean that Plup Sheik is excessive or anything, it just speaks to a deliberation in Jmook's play that's genuinely sort of astonishing. You can even see it with the one Fox game he played against Zain, where his 123 digital inputs per minute was notably under iBDW's average. Elements of this are pretty evident in his play, like the instantly iconic jaywalk that he employed versus iBDW. In fact, Jmook didn't dash dance a single time in that game 3. He just strolled around the stage, choosing the positions he wanted to be in, and then attacking from there. Now, this is certainly a unique aspect of Jmook's play, but it doesn't totally explain just why he's so good against Fox. Luckily, as we pointed out earlier, we have a perfect point of reference in Plup's sets against iBDW from Riptide, 2 sets from just a few months ago, with the same characters, the same opponent, and about the same level of play. Plup lost both of those sets, but Jmook won his. What is the critical difference? Well, lucky for us, I asked him.
Getting reversals in situations that normally are 50-50 or like an RPS situation. A lot of like that's why I love CC, that's why I love tech chasing, because once you get that grab, once you get that one knockdown, they should die, you know, if you play it correctly. And so I feel like my whole game plan is all around getting that one reversal or that one opening and just pushing it to the limit, you know. And that's why I love Sheik.
As with all things Sheik, it's all about the grab. I spent this weekend logging every single grab attempt across these 4 sets. Jmook sets versus Plup and iBDW at Genesis, and Plup sets versus iBDW at Riptide. The difference is pretty staggering. Across 8 games, Jmook went for grab 158 times, while in Plup's 9 games, he came in just shy of 100. Jmook landed 62% of his grabs to Plup's 50%, meaning in fewer games, he landed exactly double the amount of grabs that Plup did. When we break that down to an average per game, Plup goes for about 11 grabs a game and lands just around half of them, while Jmook goes for 20 grabs a game and lands more than 10% more. Nobody said it better than homemade waffles.
He's getting grabs like it's nobody's business.
It goes without saying that if you're having a lot of success getting grabs, you're gonna try and grab more. But with that many attempts, Jmook also whiffs way more. In fact, it's the one stat in which Plup beats him, fewer whiffed grabs per game. So what motivates Jmook to grab so much more? Well, he told us himself. It's because he loves to tech chase, and with good reason. The eye test tells it that Jmook's punish game is absolutely incredible, and in this case the data backs us up too. Jmook boasts an absolutely bonkers average of 4.4 openings per kill against Fox. In fact, he was only over 5 openings per kill twice in his 8 games. Plup, on the other hand, logged an average of 6.7 openings per kill. It's not like Jmook is just getting early kills either. Here's a graph showing the percent at which each player took their stocks each game. When we draw a mean, we see that they come out to almost exactly the same average kill percent, in the 117 range. He's just getting players there more efficiently. He does almost 23% per opening on average, while Plup is around 18.5. Now, that might not seem like a big difference, but consider that over 5 openings, that 4.5 difference stacks up to 22.5, which is pretty significant. Jmook and Plup really aren't that different in how and when they get the kill, aside from the fact that Jmook is more disposed to using cool needle tricks. It's how they get the opponents there that's so different. And this is where the tech chasing comes in. Here's a somewhat unexpected point of comparison. Jmook and Plup actually have nearly identical tech chase success rates. Jmook is a smidge higher, sure, but not enough to swing this dramatically. However, this stat is a little misleading, because Jmook puts himself in tech chase situations much more frequently than Plup. Jmook was in a tech chase situation 96 times across these 2 sets, whereas Plup was at 53. If we average that out, Jmook attempts about 12 tech chases a game and hits around 9 of them. Plup basically just cuts the stat in half. If Jmook gets a tech chase, he tends to keep going for down throw tech chases over and over, and a lot of the time, he gets them. Plup tends to end his tech chases earlier with dash attack, a down smash, a read, so even though Plup's success rate is similar, he's not attempting the same length of tech chases that Jmook is. He doesn't give himself a chance to fail. which, if you know the limits of your tech chase and combo game, is pretty smart. Jmook knows that he is, to put it simply, cracked at tech chasing, so he puts himself in a position to tech chase as frequently as possible. You got knocked down by Jmook? Chances are there's a Sheik running up and crouching next to you, post-haste. There's also a difference in how the two get that knockdown. If you know Plup, you know that one of his signature techniques is run cancel F-tilt, a tricky little piece of movement that lets him put out a fast hitbox where opponents don't expect it. At mid-percent, a large portion of Plup's game plan starts to revolve around this attack, and it often leads to knockdowns, which he'll then turn into a brief tech chase and hopefully get a combo off of. Jmook, on the other hand, favors raw grab in neutral, which he's more successful at getting, too. He has a 42% success rate compared to Plup's 33%. So not only is Jmook taking his grabs further, he's also getting more of them. But this doesn't tell the whole story. If you remember from earlier, Jmook is about doubling the amount of grabs that Plup attempts and gets per game. But contrary to the way he plays neutral, they're not all grabs that come from neutral. In fact, this is one of the only stats where the two are comparable. They go for almost exactly the same amount of grabs in neutral per game. So where are the rest of those grabs coming from in Jmook's stats? A big portion of them are just tech chase grabs, of course. When Jmook follows up, he gets a grab, and so that inflates his numbers. But when we remove tech chase grabs from the equation, Jmook lands 47 grabs, or 5.875 per game. Plup is at 3.2 successful grabs per game. That is still a huge difference, even without tech chases. So if we're not dealing with tech chases anymore, and we know that they get about the same grabs in neutral per game, what explains the grab disparity? How does this man press the Z button so much? Well, it turns out it's not actually the Z button all the time. Sometimes it's L+A, and I'm not just talking about shield grabs. Jmook said he loves two things in his interview. We already covered tech chasing, but this next piece completes the game plan. It gets him grabs out of neutral situations, it conditions opponents to be grabbed in neutral situations, and it keeps him safe when he whiffs. I am talking, of course, about crouch canceling, or sometimes ASDI down. Jmook said that one of his biggest strengths is his ability to win 50-50 situations and turn them into incredibly lengthy punishes. In his words, he excels at reversals, or as we'll call them from now on, counter hits. Take a look at Plup's game plan in his first game against iBDW. Lots of running F-tilt, lots of spot dodges. It makes sense, right? It's typical Sheik. You get Fox to a mid-percent out of crouch cancel range, then you knock down with F-tilt and go from there. But Jmook flips the script. He excels at using two of the hallmarks of modern melee and what are usually the banes of Sheik's existence, ASDI down and crouch canceling, and turning them to the character's advantage. To be clear, he uses both of them depending on percentage and situation, and they pay off big time. In his 8 games, Jmook got 7 of his grabs off of counter hits, be it ASDI down or crouch cancel on a weak attack, or by counterplaying drill by jumping into it or SDIing. Look at this grab. Jmook holds down and then he presses L and A to grab. He turns what would normally be a horrible situation for Sheik into a 50-50, and then he reaps the benefits. Appropriately enough, he lands almost exactly 50% of these counter hit grab attempts, 7 out of 15 across his 2 sets. Plup, on the other hand, boasts a 100% success rate in his 2 sets, but that's because he only went for counter hit grab twice, and both of them were off drill SDI, not an ASDI down like Jmook uses. This technique makes scrapping with Sheik much more scary than it ever was before. Jmook turns nothing into a 50-50, and then he's willing to play the mix-up later. Look at this situation late in his set with Plup. Plup has cottoned onto Jmook's tricks, so he hard reads the ASDI down grab and spot dodges after the nair, a great adaptation that nets Plup a hearty punish. He does the same thing on Jmook's SDI on drill later in game 5. In response, he starts using a bunch of moves that beat out spot dodge and scrambles, up tilt and down smash specifically, and it gives him the foothold in this game 5 that he needs to come back into the set and hand Plup one of his first Sheik losses in 5 years. This plays into one of Jmook's other unique strengths. The man is just incredibly good in the scrap. Where Plup favors F-tilt, Jmook loves up-tilt. He'll anti-air your approach with it, execution test your crouch canceling, beat your spot dodge, and of course, it leads into grab, exactly what he wants. His scrapping, combined with his incredibly good defensive play, makes for a terrifying, close quarters combat Sheik. So, how do you beat CQC? You play from range, of course. Shoot the gun, as the saying goes. And that is when Jmook will boost grab you. Jmook doesn't boost grab an extreme amount, but it's still way more frequent than Plup. In 8 games, Jmook went for 17 raw boost grab attempts in neutral. In 9 games, Plup goes for 11. As we become used to, this works out to roughly twice as many attempted grabs on average for Jmook. They both favor boost grab when the opponent is at a low percent, aiming to get a tech chase started. But what's really notable is how proficient Jmook is at making those boost grabs land. Plup has got a 27% success rate. Jmook is at 41. Now, some of this comes down to Plup's habits. He typically boost grabs after respawn, using his invincibility to protect himself from a potential follow-up. If he whiffs, he really doesn't lose that much. Jmook, on the other hand, conditions you into it and then just whips out boost grab in neutral. A fox that fears Sheik's scrapping will play just outside of her tilt range, aiming to abuse her linear approach options. And to that, Jmook says, "Let me use that approach option then." He launches across the stage, boost grabs you out of nowhere, and then you're in the infinite Tsukiyomi again. Jmook's sub 50% boost grab success rate really doesn't tell the full story of how frequently he makes this work. 7 of those whiffs come on FD, a stage that dramatically skews the grab success negatively for both Jmook and Plup. So let's remove the FD games from the equation. Without those, Jmook is now, with Sheik's most Hail Mary option, at 7 for 10. And you don't need to be good at math or have my spreadsheets to know that that is an incredible 70% success rate. Plup without FD, 3 for 7, 43%. Absolutely no one boost grabs like Jmook, because he boost grabs with no fear. And when you get right down to it, he's got plenty of reasons not to be scared. He whiffs a move, the fox rushes in, and then Jmook gets to put his defensive prowess to use again, potentially turning what should have been a punish into a 50-50. Jmook abuses the fact that fox needs to be close range, and then he out-scraps them there. Jmook's ability to get reversals is the basis for so much of his game plan. Let's take a look at the circle. Counter hit grabs make the opponent fear scrapping, so they might then opt for shield or a ranged game plan. This allows Jmook to utilize raw grab or boost grab in neutral, and then if he whiffs a grab, he has a chance to put his defensive counterplay into effect again. If he lands the grab, he hits you harder than any other Sheik, meaning once again, you fear being in a typical grab range. And so we begin again. To be fair, it's not like Jmook has totally innovated this game plan, it's a basic Sheik game plan. Play the mix-up between her really good frame data and her grab punishes. But all you have to do is look at the stats to see that Jmook plays it differently from the other best Sheik in the world. With double the grab attempts, it's hard to deny that Jmook simply prioritizes grab so much more. And what's even harder to deny, after his 2 incredible victories, it's working out for him. Other Sheiks like Spark or Face Roll may be grab happy, but it's the combo of Jmook's scrapping ability and his tech chase prowess that allows him to annihilate foxes like we've never seen before. 2 twin parts of a plan, each enabling the other. Jmook is nothing if not humble. After his incredible weekend at Genesis, he tweeted out a reminder that he probably won't live up to this performance next time. He'll bomb out, or someone will figure out his game plan and adapt, or he'll face challenges with the added pressure. Either way, he's managed to show a more complete Sheik versus Fox than we've ever seen before, made history by beating Plup in solely Sheik Fox, and potentially push Sheik to new horizons. With Jmook qualified for Summit and Leffen raring for another chance to show off his counterpick against Zain, it's an exciting time to be a Sheik main. Or if you're like me, to slap Jay on your tag and pick up a secondary. All credit to Jmook for inspiring us. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Shoutouts to Nikki, aka Metanym, Crudo, and Hank SSBM for help with data collection. If you want more videos like this that go in depth on player habits and data, you can stay tuned to PGstats right here. Thanks guys.